The rain had just stopped, leaving streaks of silver against the restaurant's tall glass windows. Inside, the soft murmur of conversation mixed with the low hum of a jazz tune, wrapping the evening in an air of quiet anticipation. Claire Bennett, the youngest CEO in her company's history, sat alone at a table for two, her posture perfect, her expression unreadable, her heart, however, quietly trembling. Tonight was supposed to be her last attempt at something she'd almost given up on. Love. She had promised herself this would be the final blind date. After years of climbing the corporate ladder, building an empire, and sacrificing every ounce of softness she once had, Claire had convinced herself she didn't need anyone. Yet tonight, her best friend had begged her to give love one last try. Maybe the right person just hasn't arrived yet, she'd said. But as the seconds stretched and her date was late, Claire's hope began to fade again. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of love finding its way back, even after years apart, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late for the heart to heal. The restaurant door opened, and a gust of cool air brushed against Claire's skin. She glanced up, expecting to see another stranger fumbling with his coat. But what she saw instead made her breath catch completely. Standing by the entrance was a man she hadn't seen in 15 years, Ethan Ward. Her first love. The boy who once held her hand in the rain. The man she'd thought she'd marry. The one who disappeared when their dreams clashed with reality. He looked older, yes, but stronger, too. There was a calmness in his eyes she didn't remember, and a depth that only life's hardships could carve. He spotted her instantly, and for a moment, neither of them moved. The noise of the restaurant faded. It was as if time had folded in on itself, and all those lost years dissolved between them. Claire's pulse raced as Ethan approached, every step stirring up memories she had buried under board meetings and business trips. 15 years ago, she had chosen ambition over love. She had left their small town to chase success in the city, while he had stayed behind to take care of his ailing father. They had promised to find their way back to each other someday. But someday never came. When he finally reached her table, Ethan smiled, softly, hesitantly. "Claire," he said, his voice gentle, almost disbelieving. "I can't believe it's really you." She blinked back, the sudden sting in her eyes. "You're my blind date?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. He nodded, a faint smile curving his lips. "I guess fate's got a sense of humor." As they sat down, the tension in the air softened, replaced by something fragile and bittersweet. They began with small talk, work, life, memories of mutual friends, but beneath every word lay an ocean of what was left unsaid. Claire couldn't stop studying him. There was a tiredness in his face, the kind that comes from responsibility, not regret. She noticed a simple silver ring on a chain around his neck. When she asked about it, Ethan hesitated before explaining that it belonged to his late wife, who had passed away 4 years earlier after a long illness. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted again, from nostalgia to compassion. Claire listened as he spoke about his little daughter, Emma, 6 years old, curious, and full of life. "I never thought I'd do this again," Ethan admitted quietly. "Dating, I mean. But my daughter's been telling me I look sad too often. She said maybe I should find someone who can make me smile again." Something broke open inside Claire at those words. For years, she had convinced herself she was complete on her own, yet in that moment, hearing the quiet strength in Ethan's voice, she realized how much she'd missed having someone to share life with. Not out of need, but out of choice. As the evening unfolded, laughter began to weave between them like old times. Ethan told stories that made her smile in ways she hadn't in years. When the waiter brought dessert, she caught herself wishing the night wouldn't end. It was strange how comfort could return so naturally, even after so long. Still, beneath that warmth was a deep ache. The past couldn't be erased. The things she had done to build her career, the relationships she'd sacrificed, the loneliness she had buried under success, were things that couldn't simply disappear. She looked at Ethan and realized he had lived a life full of love, loss, and resilience, while she had lived one of accomplishment but emptiness. When they finally stepped outside, the night had turned crisp. Streetlights shimmered on the wet pavement. Claire hesitated before asking the question that had been burning inside her all evening. "Why did you agree to this blind date, Ethan?" He looked at her for a long time, then smiled faintly. "Because I wanted to see if love really gives you a second chance," he said. "And because, for some reason, your name never stopped showing up in my thoughts. I guess I had to find out if it meant something." Her chest tightened. For years she had drowned herself in achievements, but nothing compared to hearing those words. She felt tears threaten to fall, but she blinked them back, forcing a small laugh instead. "And what do you think now?" He took a step closer, the city lights catching in his eyes. "I think some things never really end. They just wait for us to be ready again." Claire went home that night, unable to sleep. She stared at the city skyline through her window, thinking about how her life had been built on control, every decision calculated, every risk measured. But this was something she couldn't plan or predict. For the first time in years, she felt the stirring of something raw and real. Hope. Over the next few weeks, their paths kept crossing. Coffee dates that turned into dinners, long walks where silence spoke louder than words, and moments when she saw him with his daughter, laughing, patient, loving. Little Emma adored Claire instantly. She called her the lady with the shiny necklace. And that simple affection melted walls Claire didn't even know she'd built. The three of them began to form a rhythm, slow, natural, unspoken. Ethan never rushed her, and Claire never demanded perfection. For once, she allowed herself to be vulnerable, to embrace the messiness of love, the unpredictability of connection. She found herself canceling meetings just to spend time with them, something the old Claire would never have done. But one evening, during a quiet dinner at her apartment, Ethan opened up about the guilt he carried, the fear that letting someone new into his life might mean letting go of the memory of his late wife. His honesty broke Claire's heart. She reached across the table and held his hand, telling him that love doesn't replace what was lost. It simply grows around it, stronger and wiser. In that moment, Ethan smiled, the kind of smile that comes from peace, not relief. "You always had a way of making me believe in the impossible," he said softly. Months later, Claire stood in a park watching Emma chase bubbles across the grass. Ethan stood beside her, his arm brushing hers lightly. She thought about the woman she used to be, cold, distant, successful but incomplete, and realized how far she'd come. Life had a way of breaking you, but sometimes it broke you open just wide enough for light to enter. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that it's never too late to start over. Love doesn't always arrive when we expect it, but it always arrives when we're ready to see it. Before we end, I want to ask you something special. Comment below and tell us. Do you believe that true love can find its way back, no matter how much time has passed? As the sun dipped below the horizon, Ethan knelt to tie Emma's shoelace while Claire watched, her heart swelling with quiet gratitude. For years, she had chased success believing it would fill her emptiness. But now, standing beside the man she once lost and the little girl who called her family, she realized something profound. Success may build a life, but love makes it worth living.